Okay, we are live.
Okay, hello and welcome everybody. I'd like to begin and open up our regular meeting for August 12th, 2022 for the Community Advisory Committee. I don't have the agenda in front of me, but Sebastian, can you do a roll call?
Yes, absolutely. Let's see here. Peter Anderson.
Here.
Gary Johns. I see you, Gary.
Here, sorry.
No worries. Carolyn Schofield. I see you there as well.
Here. Yeah.
Aida Castañeda. Thank you.
Here.
David Harris.
Present.
Let's see here. Matthew Vasilakis.
Here.
Jen Dirks.
Here.
Larry Emerson.
Present, and I finally learned how to do a profile, so I put my picture up there. I'm testing it out today.
Perfect. Victoria Brenica.
Here.
Thank you.
There we go.
One of our newest members, and we'll have a section for you to briefly introduce yourself, but Anthony Sclafani, let me know if I misspelled your name or
I'm
mispronounced.
here, and you did well. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's see, Vice Chair Hammond.
I am here. My infant is on me, so my camera's off, but I'm fully present.
Oh, no worries. And Chair Price.
Here.
Okay, we have a quorum. Anyone that I missed? Okay, perfect. All right, so
Item number 3, are there any public comments not on the agenda?
Chair Price, there were no submitted written public comments, and I don't see any hand raised.
Okay, that's good. Are there any items to be withdrawn or reordered on today's agenda? Doesn't sound like it. Okay, so we'll move on to number 5, conduct fiscal year 2022-2023 officer elections for chair, vice chair, and secretary.
And Chair Price,
yeah.
If I may, I had created a slide for our newest member, Anthony, to introduce himself and say a few words to the committee.
Okay.
If that's okay with you.
Sure.
Go ahead, Anthony.
Sure. Thank you very much, Sebastian and Chairman Price. My name is Anthony Sclafani. You can call me Tony. I live in Chula Vista with my wife of 14 years and our 4 children. And we connect to our community mostly through the other families at their schools and in the activities that they do. My work is in the engineering and construction of energy projects in the range of around $1 million up to around $10 million. And I've done work in almost every state west of the Mississippi, work regularly with city councils, school boards, and state agencies. Projects would typically include lighting, HVAC, controls, solar PV, and battery storage. And this is most recently as Vice President of Engineering at Willdan, who is an implementer of efficiency programs for SDG&E, SCE, PG&E, LADWP, and other utilities. So I'm honored to bring that experience to bear to serve with you and to help make SDCP successful. Thank you.
Welcome. Sound like a busy man. Thank you. Anything else, Sebastian?
I just want to acknowledge that Tom Summers has just joined.
Okay.
So just want to mention that.
Okay, moving right along, moving to, I guess we need to elect officers for 2022, 2023. Do the current officers, which I am one, like to run for another term? I would. Tara, would you like to run for another term?
In Chair Price, if I may interject, I have a series of like kind of process. If you may, if I could just mention those, go through those real quick, and then we can begin the nomination process.
You have a what, Sebastian?
Just a process for everybody to self-nominate or nominate others.
Oh, okay.
And once we go through that, then we can start the nominations.
All right.
Perfect. So just to start off with, staff will open the floor for nominations or self-nominations. So, for example, I could self-nominate, or I could nominate Karen, for example. If a CAC member nominates another member, the nominated individual will be asked if they accept or decline the nomination. If they decline, the nominated individual will not be considered a nominated candidate during the vote. To ensure each CAC member has had an opportunity to make a nomination, if desired, staff will ask if there are any further nominations before closing the floor and proceeding with the vote. STCP will administer a roll call vote in which each CAC member will state the name of the candidate for whom the member casts their vote. The vote of a majority of the CAC is necessary to elect the chair. The nomination and election of the vice chair and secretary will proceed using the same process as above for the chair. Just a quick reminder, terms are for a fiscal year with the option to be re-elected for up to 3 terms. So it's the same process for each position. We will start with the chair position. We will follow up with the vice chair, and then we will conclude with the secretary position. Any questions?
We're fancy our 3rd year in. Nice job.
Yeah. Yeah, I was about to say that's what I was kind of doing. I didn't have all the bullet points, but I was going in that general direction, Sebastian.
Yeah, as we get older, yeah, it'll be a little bit easier. So with that, we'll go ahead and open the nominations, and I will take these hand raised in the order that I see them. So I'll go ahead and start off with Aida Castañeda.
I had a question for you, Sebastian. Would you be able to describe to us the obligation of time that is required to sit on something like this? Could you walk through that for us newbies?
Yeah. Thank you so much for bringing up that great question. So as you guys can see, the chair is responsible for running the meetings. That individual has monthly check-ins with our CEO. They have a hand in creating the monthly CAC agenda, and then they are typically the CAC liaison to the board, meaning that during our quarterly reports to the board of directors, that CAC chair has the opportunity to speak to the board during any items that were discussed. The vice chair, we are looking to have that, and just a quick note, the check-ins with the CEO are bi-weekly rather than monthly. But on the vice chair serves the role to step in case the chair can't do some of the responsibilities. As you may have seen, Vice Chair Hammond run some of the meetings when Chair Price can't do that. We are also adding change for the vice chair positions in ensuring the completion of the CAC's work plan. And that is not yet to be determined. It's in the update to the operating guidelines, which will be brought to you all next month rather than this month due to shifting priorities. And then for the secretary, it's writing meeting minutes, which help staff in tracking the actions that the CAC takes. And it's definitely helpful for the quarterly reports that we file with the board. So I hope that that's helpful. There is a little bit more detail in the operating guidelines documents, but that's kind of the gist of it. And I welcome the sitting officers to elaborate further if I missed anything.
Perfect. Yeah, I'd like to hear from them too. Thank you.
Great.
Well, from my position as chair, it's an honor to serve as chair, first of all, because they actually listen to us and try to take our comments, suggestions, and other things into account when they're making decisions for the whole organization. So it's, you know, it's not too time consuming, but you really have to know what the conversation is about. So it's, you know, it's not, you know, we're just a advisory committee, so it's not really too, you know, we're not the board, so it's not that too heavy.
And Sebastian covered as vice chair what I do, so I don't have anything else to add.
And I apologize, I had trouble getting on the meeting. So I just got in about a few minutes ago, and I apologize, I missed part of what was said here, but I'm reading the process, and the process for today looks fine to me. As secretary, I will say, it just takes some getting used to, as far as while you're trying to listen to the meeting and participate in the meeting, and then you've got to take notes and type really fast. So, but I like it. I'm honored to do it. So that's my 2 cents.
Great.
Perfect.
Are there
thank you.
any other? Sorry, I'm sorry for interrupting.
Go ahead, Sebastian.
I was just going to ask if there are any other questions.
I think David has one.
I think this may be for the nominations.
Oh,
Right.
Okay. Well, then I will go ahead and see the hands in the order that I saw them. So Tara Hammond.
Thanks, Sebastian. I would like to renominate Eddie as chair.
Thank you, Tara. Now I will ask Eddie if you accept the nomination.
yes.
Okay, David Harris.
I was going to nominate Eddie for the chair position, but since it's already been accepted, I'll lower my hand.
Great.
Thank you, David.
Thank you, David. I see your hand is raised again, David.
Oh, no, that would be for the next chair position.
Oh, okay. At this moment, I will acknowledge any other nominations or self-nominations for the position of chair. Seeing none, I'll go ahead and move into conducting a roll call vote, which will need a simple majority on. So with this, go ahead and get started. Tony Sclafani,
Aye.
Peter Anderson,
Voting for Chair Price.
Gary Johns,
Eddie Price,
Jen Dirks,
Eddie Price.
Tara Hammond,
Yes, I vote for Eddie.
David Harris,
Mr. Price,
Anna Webb,
Yes.
Tom Summers,
Sensing a landslide, yes.
still gonna conduct the vote. Aida Castañeda,
Aye.
Carolyn Schofield,
Eddie Price.
Matthew Vasilakis,
Aye.
Victoria Abranica,
Eddie Price.
and Eddie Price.
Jesus. Wow. I know this doesn't make any sense, and I better not hear this on the street, but I just got a little emotional hearing all this favorable conversation for my name. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm honored to be the chair again. I believe this will be my last term according to the bylaws, and I'll try to take us out with a bang. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Eddie, and I believe I missed Larry, didn't I?
I'll wrap up the consensus and say, yes, you're doing a good job. Eddie
Thank you.
Price.
Thank you.
And is my picture showing up with the
Yes.
profile? It is. Okay, I just can't see it for some reason.
And you're
Very
looking rather debonair also.
I just took that picture this morning.
Okay.
Perfect. So it's unanimous, Chair Price. You continue for your last term with the CAC.
Thank you.
All righty. We'll move on to the nominations or self-nominations of the vice chair position. At this point, if you want to make nominations, please raise your virtual hand. And Larry, not sure if you have your hand still raised from the last position, but I'll go ahead and acknowledge. Oh, okay, there you go.
Lowering my hand.
No worries. David Harris.
Yes, I'd like to nominate Ida Castañeda as vice chair for the advisory committee.
Okay. I have a nomination for Ida. Are there any other nominations? And I'm sorry. Ida, do you accept this nomination?
Yes, I'm honored. Thank you.
Are there any other nominations or self-nominations?
I think Matthew has a nomination.
No, I just wanted to nominate Tara Hammond if she's interested. I know she's got a lot on her plate, but she's done an exemplary job over the last couple of years. So, Tara, if you're interested.
Thank you. I was happy to do it again, but I think Aida would do a great job, and so I'd be happy to not throw my hat in the ring for her to take over. And so thank you, Matthew.
Okay. Just allowing space for any other nominations or self-nominations. Okay, hearing none, I'll go ahead and move on to a roll call vote. Tony Sclafani.
Aye.
Peter Anderson.
I think there is only one nominee, am I correct?
There's only one nominee, so no need to say the name, you can just say aye.
I vote for Ida.
No.
Gary Johns.
Aye.
Chair Price.
Aye.
Jen Dirks.
Aye.
Tara Hammond.
Aye.
David Harris.
Ms. Castañeda.
Anna Webb.
Aye. Aye.
Ida Castañeda.
Yes. Aye.
Tom Summers.
Aye, for Ida.
Carolyn Schofield.
Aye.
Let's see. Matthew Vasilakis.
Aye.
Larry Emerson.
I concur.
And Victoria Abranica.
Aye.
Congratulations.
Thank you,
All
thank
right.
you. My goodness.
Wonderful. Have to change some stuff on the website. It's all good. Okay, we'll move on to the position of secretary, currently held by Anna Webb. At this point, do I have any self-nominations or nominations? And David Harris.
Yes, I would like to nominate Anna Webb for secretary. Renomination.
Thank you, David. Anna, do you accept that nomination?
I do. And I haven't said those words in a long time.
I did have one question. Anna, you had mentioned that you were running for a position with your city, so you might not be able to serve on the CAC. Is that still the case, or what's the status of that?
Sebastian seemed to think that it would be fine. So do you know what the ultimate result is? Not if, but when I get elected, November 8th, is it still okay to serve?
I do think so. And if you know, when you do get elected, I think at that point, then we would hold a nomination to complete your term. And so someone would step in to complete your term as secretary.
I see.
Would it? Okay, thank you for clarifying, and good luck, Anna.
Oh, thank you.
Great question. At this moment, are there any other nominations or self-nominations? Seeing none, go ahead and move through the roll call vote. And you can just say aye. Tony Sclafani?
Aye.
Gary Johns?
Aye.
Peter Anderson?
Aye.
Chair Price?
Aye.
Jen Dirks?
Aye.
Tara Hammond?
Aye.
David Harris?
Aye.
Anna Webb?
Aye.
Vice Chair Castaneda?
Aye.
Tom Summers?
Aye.
Carolyn Schofield?
Aye.
Matthew Vasilakis?
Aye.
Larry Emerson?
Yes, and thank you for your great note-taking, Anna.
And Victoria Brunica?
Aye.
Another unanimous vote. Congratulations, Secretary. And as Chair Price had mentioned, Chair Price is entering his last term, and so is Secretary Webb. Okay. With that, Chair Price, do you want to acknowledge any public comments?
Are there any comments from the public on this matter?
There are no written public comments on any items that were submitted today, and I do not see any hands raised.
Okay. I believe we can move on now, and congratulations to everyone. What's next on the agenda? Okay,
The items
discuss and
should be up.
approve. Yeah, discuss and approve Executive Advisory Ad Hoc Committee, and I believe our CEO is going to speak to this.
I am indeed.
And yes, we have our CEO here, and I also want to acknowledge our Dr. Eric Washington, our CFO, is also here as well. And well, anyways, Karen, I'll pass it over.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. And if it's all right, I've got a little presentation before we go to discuss and approve the specific establishment of this ad hoc committee. If you could go to the next slide, please. All right. So good afternoon, everyone, Chairman Price, members of the Community Advisory Committee. I want to thank you for your time today. I really do appreciate it and the opportunity to connect with you. I wanted to start this conversation with a reminder about our newly adopted mission, because we are truly a values-led, mission-driven organization. So we're powering our communities with 100% clean, affordable energy while also prioritizing equity, sustainability, and high-quality jobs. This dual mission, investing in our communities and providing clean energy to San Diego, is incredibly important to us. Defines who we are and how we make our decisions. Next slide, please. And as a team, just also as a reminder, we adopted these core values, or what we call the gist of SDCP. So these are the values that are guiding us and that we live and work by each and every day. When we are hiring, just as an example, we are evaluating candidates based not only on their qualifications, but also in their belief in and commitment to our mission, as well as our core values. And even as part of our newly improved onboarding process, because we are doing a lot of hiring, we will almost double in size in the next, over the next 6 to 9 months. I'm spending an hour with each of our new hires to walk them through our mission, vision, values, and goals. Next slide. So first, I want to say that the past year and a half has been a difficult time for the organization. And the recent decision to part ways with Cody was an exceptionally difficult one, and one that was not taken lightly. She was instrumental in creating and launching this organization, and her departure is a loss to you, to staff, and to the community. A loss that then unfortunately led to yet another loss when Rita also decided to leave. Out of respect for our colleagues' privacy, we cannot share the confidential details of our internal personnel discussions now or in this forum. However, what I can do is assure you that the decision to part ways with Cody was an exceptionally difficult one. We wish her the best and are confident she will land somewhere where she can assume a leadership role and have an incredibly positive and outsized impact. I also want to emphasize that the CAC is valued and valuable to SDCP, and to recognize and name that perhaps there have been times when you did not feel that way, or perhaps felt sidelined. I'm here to let you know that that will not be the case going forward. We are a three-legged stool. Our member agencies with our elected officials, our staff, and our community. Each leg must work together and be strong so that someone can actually sit on it without falling over. We must work together, not in conflict, to achieve our ambitious goals. We must build a strong foundation, leveraging your experience and expertise, and make good on our commitment to communities and to clean energy. Next slide, please. I also want to assure you that we value our team. It is important to mention that despite the loss of 2 key people, this is a team of all-stars. The dream team, as they are known, are still here and still very passionate about and committed to the important work that they are doing. We are just coming off a tremendously successful rollout of our residential service. Our financial position is strong, and we are very confident that the team we have today and the one we are building is the right one to execute on the next phase of the organization. It was this team that worked tirelessly throughout the past year and a half and kept it together despite the challenges that everyone is facing. So I want to both thank and recognize the tremendous efforts of our team. And in addition, we are growing. By this time next year, we will have nearly doubled in size. We have added 5 people to our team this month alone. So you will see a lot of job postings and a lot of hiring as we build out the talent and resources that we need to achieve our really important mission. Next slide, please. I'd also like to offer our CAC some insights into how we will lead SDCP into this exciting future. First and foremost, with our core values and our mission front and center. We will be guided by these, and we will not and cannot be distracted. We will have productive conflict. That means we will disagree as we work towards a more perfect solution. But we will voice our concerns, we will work to create buy-in, and we support the teams and the board's decisions when they're made. To this end, we are even convening a conflict management workshop to make sure all staff have training in how to do this. We are also in the process of rolling out foundational policies that will be fair, consistent, and transparent across all staff. We have several already in place now, and we have quite a few more to go. We are holding ourselves accountable to the board, to our communities, and to each other. And we will act as one, following a clear set of goals and objectives that we've set out together as a group that are directly aligned to our mission, our vision, and our values. Ours is a collaborative organization that is building bridges and partnerships. And lastly, we will obsess about getting results that achieve our mission to deliver clean energy as well as community benefits and investments. Next slide. So, to this end, I would like to propose that today we establish an ad hoc CAC Executive Advisory Working Group. The goal of this group is to both listen and advise, to share and collaborate, to address issues and engage in that productive conflict, to ensure that the voice of the community cuts through the noise and we hear you, providing a space to raise issues and provide advice to us. Next slide, please. So what does this look like? We'll have monthly meetings starting in September and lasting until we evaluate this ad hoc working group again in about 6 months from now, so February of next year. We will hold the meetings virtually so that everyone can attend on the committee, and we will create our agenda together. Who will attend from staff will be myself and Eric Washington, and then we will add other executives and staff on an as-needed basis, depending on the topics of discussion. So we would ask you all to select your members, up to 5 total, and including the chair and vice chair if they are so inclined, for this group. Once formed, we will collectively determine the time and date of our first meeting. We are really excited to form this committee and hope it will foster further productive dialogue, collaboration, and sharing. We want you to know that we are both available and interested in your insights, concerns, and ideas. So that concludes my presentation. Thank you again, Chairman Price and members of the CAC. And I think now, Sebastian, we move towards the next steps in this process.
Thank you very much, Karen. And as you mentioned, we are asking for the chair and vice chair to participate if they are so inclined. And then to keep this as a smaller, more intimate group and as an ad hoc group, we're asking for up to 3 more general members. For this process, we welcome self-nominations or nominations. There is no specific rule as there is for officer nominations. So at this point, anyone that would be interested in participating, I would recommend that you raise your hand, and then we can see how it plays out. So,
Sebastian.
Okay.
Sebastian, I have a point of information. What days will these meetings take place on? How long will they last? And at what time of day will these occur?
Yeah, great question, Peter. So the meetings will take place once a month for approximately 1 hour, and the time and day is to be determined. So once we know who will be on this ad hoc committee, then I will work with all of you to determine what time and day works best.
Thank you.
Of course.
In addition to that, will they be in person or virtual?
Virtual.
This will be virtual. Great. Any other questions? Otherwise, I will move on to the hands raised.
I'm sorry, Sebastian, I had a question.
Go ahead, Vice Chair.
Okay. So is there an option for us to meet in person at some point? I figured that this group would be smaller.
I'm personally very open to that. I didn't because of COVID, I wanted to be respectful that could be an issue for some, or the distance could be an issue, but I'm absolutely open for it, and we can meet in our office. And
yeah, Yeah, I would like that option at some point. It just helps me visually just kind of gather the information and connect faces. So if we could, I appreciate it.
Thank you. And David, did you have another question?
Yes, I just wanted to say that we should be aware of geographic representation. So if the chair and vice chair are going to serve on the executive ad hoc working group, then you know, it would be good to have representation from other cities. That's it.
Right.
Thank you, David. All right, I will go ahead and acknowledge Larry. You have your hand raised.
Yeah, so I'm assuming that this ad hoc committee would report back to the CAC and what they discussed. Would that be on our regular agenda?
It certainly can be. I imagine there will be items that the ad hoc committee cannot report on, but a general report can, I can envision that definitely be made.
I mean, the goal is to increase communication. That's the major goal, I was assuming. Karen, was that correct?
Yes, it is. But it may be that there are some items discussed that are best, you know, kept to a small group.
Okay, well, I was nominating myself to participate, but as was mentioned earlier, maybe we want separate people from different regions. So I'll stand aside if we get enough members to sit on the committee, because Aida is already on as the vice chair.
Thank you, Larry. At this time, I'll acknowledge Tara Hammond.
I'm happy to participate.
Okay. Tony?
Yes, my hand is raised just to show interest.
Okay.
That means you're on the committee, Anthony. just so you know.
Here to help.
And Peter Anderson?
Yes, I'll serve.
Okay. We have 3 with those. David?
Yes, I'm also interested in the committee.
Okay.
Sebastian, can
Secretary
you
Webb?
read off the municipalities represented, please?
Yeah, so with right now the makeup is we have the city of San Diego, we have the city of National City, then we have Encinitas, Chula Vista, the county, and we have La Mesa.
Sheesh.
Okay, Secretary Webb, I think I
Oh.
had seen your hand raised.
It was raised, but when you said Encinitas, I put it down. I was going to nominate Gary Johns, but since we already
Okay.
have Encinitas.
Okay,
Well, I was going to nominate Terrace, so I think it all worked out.
okay. So what we can do here is, as a committee, we can consolidate between these 4 self-nominations, or we can move on to individual votes for each. So Chair Price, is there any inkling on moving forward with that process?
So how many, we have 4 that are vying for the open seats on this committee or ad hoc group?
That is correct. We have 4, which would bring it to a total.
Right, and we only want 2 to 3. So first I would ask those 3 or 4, would anyone like to step aside first. And it doesn't look like that really wants to happen, so I guess we have to go to a vote.
Okay,
Well, if I
Yeah.
may, what's the number? There's 14 total members. And so to keep it less than a quorum, we have a max of what, 5, maybe 6?
that's correct, Karen.
Okay, so that's the that's where we're at.
Legality of this, yeah, that's the legality of the situation.
Mhm.
So this may be quite lengthy.
We might be able to increase it to 6 if so, but the challenge there is if there are vacancies that are unfilled, then that's where it gets a little challenging.
Right.
But 6 would give you a 12, so as long as you had at least 13, would be quorum.
Okay, so we could take them all, is what you're saying.
I believe so, and if we run into issues,
We just have to quickly rectify that issue.
That's correct.
Okay. So congratulations, everybody. It appears that everybody got onto the committee.
So I don't need or I guess with this, we had done a vote for the work plan ad hoc committee. So let's go ahead and do a quick roll call vote for the 4 nominees.
I, as the chair, just can't appoint them.
You know what? I think that works. So we just skipped the roll call vote.
Okay, all of you have just been appointed to the group, to
wonderful.
the Executive Advisory Ad Hoc Committee. Welcome and thank you. We don't know exactly what that means just yet, but thank you.
So in terms of next steps, I will go ahead and reach out to all these members. So just to recap, it'll be Chair Price, Vice Chair Castañeda, Tara Hammond, Tony Sclafani, Peter Anderson, and David Harris.
I see some hands raised.
Yeah, this is Larry. I just had a question. Could you clarify what this concern was about the quorum? I didn't catch that discussion, what that was involved with.
Yeah, I can take a stab at that. So Larry, right now, the total makeup of the committee is 14 members.
Yes.
And a quorum would be 7 members. So the max we can have is 6 members. And say, for example, we drop down to a committee of 12, then we can no longer have an ad hoc committee of 6 because that represents a quorum of the committee.
Okay.
And so if we do get to that point, as Chair Price was saying, we have to rectify that, but we can cross that bridge when we get there.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Thank you. Tony?
Yes, excuse me, I have no comment. I will lower my hand.
So are we ready to move on to number 7 now?
Just want to just give you a friendly reminder, Chair, to acknowledge if there are any public comments that you want to recognize.
For number 6?
That's correct.
Are there any public comments for agenda item number 6?
Let's see here, given folks chance to raise their hand, and I don't see any. And as mentioned earlier, there were no written public comments submitted for all items.
Okay, thank you. Is it appropriate for me to ask for public comments before, like, we're going into number 7? Can I ask for public comments right now instead of at the end?
So typically, Chair, it's recommended that you ask for public comments after staff gives their presentation and before there is a vote.
Okay, you said typically and it's recommended, but that wasn't a yes or no, but I'll go with the,
yes.
I'll ask the question after the after item number 7. So without any further ado, let's move on to number 7. Receive, update, and provide input and feedback on the community power plan. And I would
Hello.
assume the presentation from Nelson.
Yes, you are correct. Thank you, Chair
Mhm.
Price. Can everyone hear me okay? Because I was having some audio
Yes.
issues earlier. Perfect. So I think, Chair Price, in regards to your last question, I think if you, we can get through the presentation and through the update piece. And then if we can, before we move into the input and feedback portion where our consultants are going to be asking some questions, we can open it up for public comment or you can open it up for public comment and we can take that at that time. And then we can move over into the input piece, if that works with you.
Sounds like a plan. Thank you.
Okay, so if we go to the next slide. So I want to start off this piece, this item, by introducing 2 members of our project team. They are from Arup, who is the prime consultant helping us develop the community power plan. And so they are here with us today and will be leading the input and feedback portion of this item. And so I want to turn it over to Heather to introduce herself, and then over to Annie to introduce herself.
Hi, great. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Oh, my camera is doing something funny. My name is Heather Rosenberg, and I am with Arup and very excited to be working with you all. We are developing a strategic plan for customer programs for SDCP. Annie?
Yes, hi everyone. My name is Annie Dennis, and I'm supporting Heather and the team with SDCP here on the community power plan. So looking forward to first getting your introductions earlier on this call and then getting into the activity in a bit. Thank you.
Thank you both. And I want to note that Arup was hired on after we did a competitive solicitation for the development of the community power plan last December. And so they have been helping us since then to make this project a reality. So if we go on to the next slide. I want to start off by giving a quick update in terms of what we've been doing in the last couple of months with the community power plan. So in addition to getting all of the administrative stuff completed when it comes to contracts and processes set up, we've been busy in the last couple of months being out in the community and really trying to be mindful and thoughtful about the type of outreach we have been conducting and listening to people out there. So the way that the community power plan has been structured is that we are doing a series of listening sessions with community-based organizations. And the way that those sessions go is that we rely on our community-based organizations, our partners, to invite their community members into the listening sessions, as opposed to the ones that you see below that, which are the public and business listening sessions, which is our job to go out and invite the community and host those. So when it comes to the community-based organization listening sessions, to date, we have had 4 sessions. We have 4 sessions done. We partnered up with Casa Familiar to do a community listening session in San Isidro at 6 p.m. And we had over 34 attendees at that listening sessions. And that was a really robust conversation. We had, I think, if I'm remembering correctly, about 4 different breakout groups that we then individually asked them questions. That was incredibly successful. We were so happy to partner with Casa Familiar. And we will be hosting another listening session with them in the fall to report back on what we find out throughout this engagement piece. We are working with Project New Village and they hosted a listening session on Saturday at noon at their event. We had over 25 attendees that we counted. I think we had more than that actually listening to the presentation. Because that was done at their health and wellness seminar and they invited us to come in and speak to that. So that was also incredibly successful. We had a lot of engagement, a lot of engaged people giving us some really important feedback. And then this week, just this week, we have been hosting 2 listening sessions with MAC. And those have been done virtually. So those were our first 2 sessions that were done virtually. And again, we relied on our community partners to tell us what is the best format, if it should be in person or if it should be virtually. We had over 100 attendees registered for both of these sessions. I think the one that we just had yesterday had over 121 registered attendees with about 45. At one point, I think we had over close to 50 attendees listening in to the presentation. And then we use a series of digital tools to help understand and ask some questions and get responses from them. So those were also really good sessions, and I'm glad that we hosted those and did those so that we can get some input from them and also provide more information as to who San Diego Community Power is. And lastly, surely not the last, we've been working with this organization called Art Produce to host a listening session in the Mid-City area. And we're working to identify a date and time. It's looking like it's going to be the first week of September, but we don't have a set date yet. They are going to be notifying us of that date. So those are the ones that we've been doing with the community-based organizations. Separately, we have hosted a series of listening sessions for businesses. So we did 3 in one day on Thursday, July 21st. I think that date on that is wrong because it says August 21st, but it was July. So we had 3 that day that went at 8 in the morning, at noon, and at 4 p.m. And overall, we had over 28 attendees throughout those 3 sessions that provided their perspective to us from a business side of what their needs and priorities and goals are. Separately, we had public listening sessions and are currently scheduled to have another one that is exclusively in Spanish. So we had one in English with Spanish interpretation that was provided on Tuesday, July 26th. We had 13 attendees to that. We had over 30 registrations. And we are now going to be hosting next week a listening session in Spanish with English interpretation. So it will be the presentation and the facilitation will all be in Spanish. We need your help to spread the word on that. So I will be following up later today with some materials where you can help us promote that listening session so that we can get as many Spanish speakers to attend as possible. Next slide. So in addition to doing these listening sessions, we have been doing what we call pop-up engagements. And so our consultant has been helping us identify a number of community events throughout the county, the unincorporated county, where we're doing some pop-up engagement to get further information. So we've been at Lakeside, Dulcura, Ramona, Borrego Springs, and Valley Center. So we've been incredibly busy with the limited staff that we have. Going out to these communities and tabling at the places, mostly the libraries, because they are really good resources in the community, to hear more information as to like needs and priorities. Additionally, we've been doing what we call interest stakeholder interviews, and really these are conversations more than interviews with a number of other community-based organizations and other interest groups and other community members to get a better sense of what they are hearing from their members as well. And so we have hosted or have interviewed 5. There's one missing that we had this morning, actually. So you can see we're actively working on these, and we plan to have up to 10 of these stakeholder interviews. So we are halfway there and are continuing to work with the community-based organizations that you all provided to us at the initial step to gauge interest. Next slide, please. And so what I want to do, what we are here to do today is that as representatives of the community, of the various communities that we serve to the organization, you all have a really unique role that bridges our organization and the respective communities that you all represent. And so even though we've been doing a lot of community engagement and going out and being in the community, and we will also be doing a community-wide survey that's going to be going out to everyone, and we're going to be promoting that through community-based organizations, through a mailer, and through social media and our cities. We want to be able to take a deeper dive with the committee and understand from you all, like what are your goals and visions and priorities and needs that you are hearing from your constituents as they relate to programs or can and somehow relate to programs. And so we want to understand from the committee, what do you think our program offerings in the future should be accomplishing? And so with that, we have invited our consulting team, Arab, to lead an interactive session with you all and ask you some questions. And because we have such a large group in the committee, we're using a digital tool to help gauge some of that interest. And so we sent instructions to you all on how to access that tool. I forwarded a reminder this morning, so if please check your email if you don't have that. But before we jump into the feedback or into public comment, I wanted to invite Colin Santulli, our Director of Programs, to kind of provide an additional amount, some additional notes as to why we are here today.
Yeah, thanks, Nelson. I think you covered it all. Just that we're really looking for your input, and your input is pretty critical to make sure that the committee, the community is represented in the CPP process. So please do participate. And if you have any challenges, don't hesitate to speak up or email one of us. Your participation is critical. So thank you, Nelson, and Annie or Heather are going to take the next step.
Yeah, so I'm going to turn it back to the chair to see if you want to take public comment now, Chair. Otherwise, we can move on to turning it over to Heather, who's going to lead us with the feedback portion.
Sure. Sebastian, is there any public comments?
There are no public comments for this item, Chair.
Okay, Nelson, I have a question. I'm on this survey on Menti, but I can't go anywhere. Is it too early to go there or something?
That's good. You're good. We'll talk you through all of that.
Well, yeah, because I'm old, so I try to get a head start on, any new technology coming.
Yeah. Well, don't worry. I'm old too, and we'll all get there together.
Okay.
Yeah.
Try and make it as easy as possible.
So, Chair, if we may, we can turn it over to Heather to lead us through the tool and the questions.
Please.
If we go to the next slide, Sebastian. So these are the questions that we are going to be asking you. The first one of what community do you represent? We know what that is, but we wanted to have that be kind of like a warm-up question to introduce you to the tool. And then Heather is going to lead us through the rest of these. So Heather.
Great, thank you so much. Annie and I are going to actually tag team on this, and we'll try and make it kind of interesting and fun as we do this. Annie, are you able to share your screen now and share the questionnaire?
See, may I request remote control? That might not be the right feature. When I click share screen, it says you cannot share screen while the other participant is sharing. So if anybody has a piece of feedback, we can take a minute.
So Sebastian, if you want to unshare your screen, and then Annie, you can share yours.
Great. All right, so we are here at this homepage. Now let me re-find all of you. Okay. So if you've navigated to this homepage for today, August 12th, Community Advisory Committee for our Community Power Plan Workshop, and it says Mentimeter on the right. We have some lovely native plants of San Diego. I see some hearts already going off in the corner. So if you test that, Yeah, seeing those come in. Basically, that works similarly to what we're going to do today, which is an interactive platform to collect comments to the questions you just saw on the screen. And so there'll be different places to walk through it. But even just that heart button is a sample that you interact with it, and then we see it on our side. And it's a useful platform in that way. So Heather, I'll have you kick us off, but if there's anything I missed in sort of the general Mentimeter introduction, also feel welcome to unmute and ask.
Yeah, and perhaps you could put the link to this online thing in the chat.
Yeah, I noticed there's no chat function on this. So the first thing, is there anyone on here who, or on the call on the CAC who is having any trouble or is not here? How many members do you have?
13.
13. So I see
We have
12
14,
here.
Heather, and they are all here.
And they're all here. Okay, so 2 people, it looks like, are not on this because we can see 12. So do we have the, if you go to menti.com, and put that in a browser, and then we'll give you the number to log in one more time so that you can all get there. Annie, what is that number?
It
Do you have that,
is.
Annie?
Heather, I'm hesitating to share the number because
Okay.
this should be for the CAC.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So if
Correct.
it would be in the, was it in the link of the invite?
Yeah, so we sent it out
Yeah,
to
you
everyone.
can- Great. So if you can share,
And-
if anyone has trouble logging in, why not we say you email Nelson and he'll send you all that information?
Yes, please.
Is that okay?
And Gary, I see you have a hand up.
Yeah, well, so I went to the web URL and not to the app with the login number. I just like to know, are you seeing me or am I one of the people you don't see? Gary Johns?
Well, we don't see who's who on here. All I see is that there are 14 people logged in, and given that there are 14 of you, are you seeing this screen with these pictures of Community
Well,
Advisory Committee?
I
or-
see it arranged differently. Mine has Mentimeter across the top, then it has the picture, and then it has the print that you have down, down the Community
That's great.
Advisory Committee, blah, blah, blah. And
That's
I've hit the heart button a bunch of times.
It will
Yep.
only count you. It'll only count you once. We just,
And we've
it
seen
just
it.
makes, but we see that there are
Okay.
14 people.
You're
here.
in, you're in.
You're in.
All
We've-
right, okay,
That's
thank you.
great. That's great. If you're seeing just menti.com, you're not in the right place. If you're seeing this screen or some
Yes.
version of Community Advisory Committee, you're in the right place. So it
Okay, I'm
sounds like
there.
we've got everyone where we all belong. Yes?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. So let's go to our first question. So this is an open-ended question. We just want to know your name. This is just to track and to make sure everyone knows how to use the tool. So just go ahead and put your name in there. You'll notice that you can not move ahead of where we are. If you didn't advance and you're still on the title screen, you may get something that says, go to where the speaker is. And you can just press that. That'll always bring you back to where we are. And I can see we have 11 responses so far, so we're still waiting for a couple folks. Okay, just a few more. I'm in trouble.
12.
Okay. 12, 13.
Looks good.
Pretty good. We've got one more to go.
I see your hand.
Yeah, hi. I'm choosing not to participate at this time because I intend to submit my letter of resignation at the close of today's meeting due to residency requirements. And I'll have an announcement when we have a chance to chime in for announcements. So, but I will follow along.
Okay. I think that is fine. So as long as that's appropriate for everybody, that you're not voting today, then that's fine. And we've got everybody and we'll just keep going.
Sounds good, Heather.
Okay, next slide.
Looks great. And if you could do the name one, you can do most of these other ones. So off to the right start. What's this one, Heather?
So what community do you represent? So we'll just get them all in there. It's great to see all these communities represented. We've been talking with lots of folks in your communities and learning a lot about all of them and how they are unique and thriving and all kinds of things. Really amazing community groups and officials and board members. It's been very inspiring to learn about all these places. We've got 2 more people to put their answers in.
And I want to note that the reason we asked these 2 original questions is because then we are able to track all the other comments that you submit to us. We're able to track them in sequential order so that we know which director or which committee member is saying what. So thank you.
Okay, last 2. Anyone know? Unincorporated San Diego. We're doing lots of stuff in unincorporated county, which is great.
Yeah, this is great to see and put some faces to it as well. I have on my other screen your videos. So
one more person I think we're waiting for. Trying to get 13 answers on every page, if we can. Is there somebody who's not hit submit?
Well, Tom said he wasn't going to participate.
Which left us at 13 instead of 14. So
This is Gary. I don't see another one from Encinitas, so it might be Tara.
Tara, you doing okay with this?
Yes, I submitted one.
Oh, okay. Well, I submitted one. Did you say Encinitas or something else?
Encinitas.
Let me try again.
sure. In some places, it will, when we do like a word cloud, if you all say the same answer, it'll just show up larger on the screen. I think with these open-ended boxes, it'll repeat.
There it is.
And it's there. Great.
There you go.
Perfect. All right. Next. So this is an open-ended question. We want to know, what issues are you hearing about from your community? What are people really concerned about or talking about? You know, so in one word or a few words, you know, not a novel here, but just the top things, the themes that you're hearing about most these days. Is it economic issues, environmental issues, social issues? Are people still talking about COVID? COVID's still not done with us, that's for sure.
So can I ask a clarifying question?
Yeah.
Is this issues related to San Diego Community Power or issues at large?
We're going to get into issues of San Diego Community Power. So we want to hear, like, how do issues of San Diego Power, like that may not, energy issues may not be the main issue. You know, if people are really, you're hearing a lot about unhoused populations and homelessness, or if you're hearing, you know, what are people really kind of struggling with, bills and minimum wage, lots of economic issues. Yeah, for sure. Social justice, affordability, inflation, employment. These are going to kind of reconfigure as we go. It's just sort of painting a portrait of what's going on in your communities, because we know that energy is an issue. It fits in the sort of larger context, but what is the broader context? So this is just painting up sort of an impressionistic picture of some of the things that are going on in your communities. You can answer more than one. It looks like we've got 7 people answering.
Ooh, cool.
You can write things that other people have written too. It will, you'll see what happens when that happens. Interesting, people are talking about cannabis locations, store locations, and all kinds of things. Certainly interesting to see homelessness, gas prices, and costs right in the center. That sounds a lot like my community. Inflation, for sure. We'll just give a second till all 13 have had a chance to put in, but you can keep going until we move on to the next slide. Got a few more people, it looks like, who haven't put in answers yet.
Temperatures, is that warm temperatures, like maybe some high heat days? I know it's probably on our mind taking this survey in August.
Okay, just wait another 10 seconds here. That's definitely a good snapshot. It just keeps playing with it. All right. Most people have answered this, so we'll move on to the next thing. Next question. Now we're zooming in a little bit. So what energy issues are most important in your community? Is it affordability? Is it greenhouse gas emissions? Is it clean energy? Is it local energy? Is it jobs?
I have a question.
Yeah, absolutely.
On my computer screen, it doesn't say energy, but you're asking us to answer with respect to energy, correct?
Well, it may be that you are still on the previous screen where we were asking more generally, and if you advance, there might be something on your.
Look at the top. I had to click something at the top to move forward.
Mm.
Or somewhere on your screen.
Mine said next question at the bottom, actually at mine. So yeah, they're looking a little different depending on your device.
Nope, I'm not able to move beyond this.
Okay, so if you look at the question at the top, does it say what energy issues are most
Now it
important?
does, it just switched.
Now. Okay, good. Maybe it's a little slower connection, or something may just take a few minutes to sync. But we have one of these fun word clouds going on again. Certainly affordability, costs are really important. Rooftop solar. People are definitely interested in that. Resiliency. That's my area of specialization, so I always like to see it pop up on the list. That's great. So of the same cluster staying in the center there as we add on issues around it. It's always interesting to see local green jobs. Stopping SDG&E attacks, that's interesting.
You must not be from around here.
Well, I'm not from too far away, but it is, every community has its, I'm in Los Angeles. Yeah, people have a lot of feelings about SDG&E these days, for sure. Okay. And again, we have 11 people, it looks like, who've answered.
Working.
In trouble.
Nope, no trouble, still working.
Still working, okay.
Still working, good.
Good, we've got 12 now, maybe one more person waiting to upload.
Can I just say that I'm really enjoying seeing all of these answers and them moving around, because you can put in as many answers as you want, but this is great.
Yeah, it's kind of a fun tool. You know, I think makes it really efficient to get input from a lot of different people quickly. And we've got 13 people weighing in now, so that's fabulous. Everyone's together and here. And we'll move on to the next question. What do you most think SDCP programs should accomplish in your community? What are you looking for SDCP to bring to your community? What is your vision, or what you think is most important for SDCP to do locally? People are thinking about that one. Reduce energy bills and electrifying low-income disadvantaged housing without increasing bills. That is, you're speaking to my heart. That is exactly the work that I've been focused on for the past number of years. So really love that one. Low cost, renewable energy, and prevention of wildfire. Absolutely, the wildfire is a big issue. I'm thinking about what can SDCP do for it around that on the demand side without without having direct control of the transmission infrastructure, what can you do to address that? A smooth transition to renewable energy. Go ahead. Somebody have something to add?
Educational programs, great. We can talk about that.
Definitely love that. Workforce and career development. These are all in alignment with all the things we've been talking about. Maximizing use of rooftops for local solar. Someone have a comment? Keep hearing little bits of somebody, but not sure if that's intentional or not.
There we go.
Uh,
I think we can keep adding. I just have to scroll.
As far as the educational programs, we're a very unique little spot down here in IB, and we have a very vocal small group of naysayers, and so they, have put disinformation out there, and then they start posting their bills online, like CCA charge. It's $172. What is that? Well, that's your electric portion of your bill. So I think educational programs would be very valuable down here.
Yeah.
Like a town hall forum, where people can ask questions and really clear up a lot of misinformation.
Absolutely. I think there's so much misinformation out there, and making sure that people understand what SDCP is, how you are not the same as SDG&E, and that's kind of the point, and why you have community-based energy. And even understanding how to understand your energy bill, regardless of who it's from, and what you can do about it, I think is important. So all of those things are great answers. Let's move on to the next question.
Andy, can you scroll down a little bit? I want to see the
I gotta
last
go.
ones that came in. Equity,
Energy,
resilience.
and resilience. Talking my language. I love it.
Mhm.
Okay.
Keep going.
What customer programs are you most interested in? And I'm going to say, when we're talking about this in a very open-ended way with you, some of these questions are also going to go out in a survey to all SDCP members. We're going to push it out through mailers and other ways to try and get as much response as we can. I think that in those cases, we're not really asking them about customer programs. We're asking people about their values and what they want to accomplish. But we know that you have thoughts as the CAC around what kinds of programs you're looking at, and we want to understand what's on your minds, and know that there's a little bit more sort of context for you. That you already have more context and maybe sort of further ahead and thinking about some of these programs.
I'm
And I want to,
having a
Once again,
problem
mine did not
here.
advance to the next slide.
I'm having a problem here. It's stuck on, the slide has not changed, refresh, which I've hit several times.
Same
Okay.
here.
You having that problem too?
Yes.
Okay, one thing you can do is just refresh the whole screen. So even going up to like the web address and highlighting it and clicking on that again.
Okay, that worked.
Sometimes it just needs to remember to communicate back to the central system. Whatever that.
2022, and we still need to refresh.
Still need to refresh. We all need to refresh sometimes.
And I want to say that these are phenomenal. And if you have specific program names that come to mind, please feel free to share those as well. But this is exactly the type of information that I wanted to get at with this question in terms of what customer programs, because you can share names of programs, but this is a lot more helpful for us to then be able to rethink, like, okay, how do we do, for example, building electrification? How do we do energy efficiency? So this is great.
I'm sorry, I just have to interject, Nelson, because that was hilarious. The refresh, reboot, yeah, here we are, 40 years later. All right.
Yeah. Some things never change. We think all this technology makes us go faster and be more efficient, but it's just, we can only go as fast as we can think anyway. I love seeing community outreach on here. Upfront rebates are great. Getting people up to 100% renewables. Microgrids are really interesting and important in a lot of different contexts. Vehicle to grid and vehicle to home. These are fabulous.
Gary, I want to see your hand is still up. Is that from the last comment?
Yes.
Okay. Just
Taking
wanted
it
to make
down.
sure.
Taking it down.
Solar shares.
This is great to see the stream come in. These are so many good ideas and so quickly. I couldn't, we knew you'd been thinking about it, so we're not surprised.
All right. Why don't we move on to the next question?
Okay. I may need to refresh myself. Nope, Here we go.
So now we want to get to a little bit more of root causes, but why are you interested in those programs? If you had an answer there, what is it about that kind of program that you want? What is the outcome or the value behind those questions? I like that someone answered LOL.
I suspect that might have been Chair Price because I saw him laughing.
Yeah, that was just an amazing question, but I figure I'd put it up there.
Yeah. Well, we're, I'm glad you're laughing instead of crying. That's a good start. Why do you care about rooftop solar or electrifying affordable housing or vehicle to grid? Those kinds of questions. Let's get them in here and see.
Improving the lives of our neighbors and improving the environment. That's great. Yeah, so we've been talking a lot about what local means. I don't know, Heather, if you had some thoughts on this for the CAC, but a lot more coming in. Yeah, make generation truly local.
Yeah. Rooftop solar and local storage. That's great. Still thinking about the technologies. I'm curious why this was funny. Do you want to share?
Which one? The whole thing?
The question, yeah. Why the LOL?
Well, you guys were introduced as experts in this field, so I figured you guys might know quite a bit about, the cause and effect of things and how things work and how much it would benefit communities to do this. And so it was just an amazing. I just found it humorous to wonder why I'm interested in these programs that would be so beneficial to the communities that I serve, honor, and live in. So my first response was laughter.
That's great. Well, and I think that's really great because it helps us clarify the reason we're asking this, because there's lots of different reasons. And part of what we're trying to get at in the community needs assessment and to advise the community power plan is what are the core values that are most important to you? So we can talk about, well, solar is important, but solar could be important for a lot of different reasons, right? You could really care about solar because it's a local energy. You could care about solar because it's an economic opportunity. You could care about solar because then we're importing less energy from the global market, which has all sorts of geopolitical issues. There's many reasons to care about it. And so that's what we're trying to dig into a little bit more is those core principles, those core values that might be driving one program or another. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's still funny.
I am glad.
I had this conversation similar to this earlier with somebody. And most human beings, regardless of where you're at, or where on the food chain you're at or whatever, we all want the same things, basically for the same reasons, right? Basically for the same reasons. Sometimes some of us already have those things that we want and others don't, but we all want the same thing. We all want the same thing.
Yeah. One of the challenges that I think will surface in this process is that everybody wants 100% green, clean, local, affordable energy. And in some ways, when you unpack those things, there's tension points within that. There's trade-offs. And so if we have to, compare and, and make strategic decisions, what's most important? That's the purpose of this exercise.
Right.
Um,
And just so you know, whenever I'm in a conversation that the word equity has been interjected in the conversation, regardless of where it was interjected at, for me, that means that if we're going to achieve or address equity, we need to address inequity.
Yes.
That's how we're going to achieve equity. And we need to do that first. That needs to be the priority, which means somebody's feelings are going to be hurt for a little while because communities that have gone without are going to get an abundance. And those that have been receiving things may not get nothing for a little while. And there's going to be an emotional switch there that we got to deal with. So that's why I was laughing.
Yeah, really interesting. An excellent point. All right, let's go to the next question. So what energy solutions do you think will work best in your community? And I'm not going to interpret that question too much more for you. I want you to interpret that question for yourself. You can, what does that mean to you? What are you looking for when we say energy solutions?
I think I'll add a little of context to that, and just saying that like what may work in one community may not work in another, which is why we're asking this question: is what do you think will work best?
That's right. Yeah, financial solutions delivered via energy solutions. Absolutely, it's a good answer. And it is hot out here. Rooftop solar is great. Getting some shade out there. A variety of affordable programs to choose from so that everyone can participate. Community solar, community EV, things that are at a bigger scale, maybe not just things that are on individual single family homes, but thinking a little broader. Charging stations and local solar arrays, not repetitive, important. Plant a tree at every bus stop, that's great. I think we are going to have to completely be rethinking the pedestrian experience and buses as we start to understand heat impacts and they become more real. We're going to get really serious about shade and water. Solutions that create job and support local businesses. Continuing to focus on outreach and programs for communities of concern. And that certainly is a focus for this whole project, and I know for SDCP, is how do we reach communities of concern? How do we hear from the people who often aren't heard from, who aren't always at the table, who don't show up for every meeting? So this is really great. And Sanitas is a privileged community, but we have a lot of rental units. So we need ways to build solar on rental properties, right? And deal with that split incentive of the difference of who benefits and who pays between landlords and tenants. Really important and complicated issues. Rebates and financing on rooftop solar and storage, like SOMA, that's great. Solar on affordable housing, on bill solar financing. You need a whole suite of things. I see that. Community solar, these are great.
I really like how specific it is, like keeping the lights on during public safety power shutoffs, because I think that's something we've heard as a need from communities is keeping the lights on, but what's keeping you from keeping the lights on? Is it the cost? Is it the infrastructure? And then start to think about solutions. So it really reflects the process we've been going down, what solutions are showing here.
Right, absolutely. And then the need for backup power. Community ownership, excellent answer. And programs that encourage low-income families to get into electric cars. Absolutely. Okay, let's move on.
Okay.
So over the next 5 years, what would be your vision for a clean energy community? We are writing a strategic plan, this community power plan, that looks 5 years out. If we accomplish what we want to accomplish and we do everything right, and really have the kind of impact that we all imagine, what does that look like?
And we're getting to our last couple of questions, and we didn't want to end it on a sour note, so we want to make it positive and see what is the vision.
Yeah, what does success look like? I think sometimes we get really focused on all the challenges, but it's really important to visualize. I love this: community ownership, nonprofit programs, local energy projects. Popping up here, local, equitable, local coming up a few times. And when you say local, what do you mean by local? And you can say this out loud or you can type it in, but do you mean in your town, in your neighborhood, in your block, in your community? Do you mean in San Diego region? Do you mean in Southern California, in the US?
In my humble opinion, and I don't know who put that, but I can speak to that, it would begin at solar rooftop. Then it would go up to neighborhood community solar, right? And what does that look like? How can that be accomplished? Then it would go to community solar, like, you know, Southeast San Diego solar or City Heights solar or Barrio Logan or San Isidro solar. Then it would go to the county. You know, what can the county put into this? Then it would go to Southern California and the state. So it's, you know, it's a stepping stone. So it actually includes all of them, beginning at a, you know, single family home. And how do we make sure that every single family home, whether it has enough roof space or not, how can we come up with a solution for that?
Right. How do you bring the benefits to everybody?
Right.
That's great. I love that. And that's, you know, that's actually something we might even put as a diagram into our report. I think is worth putting. When we talk about local, we're talking about different scales, but I think starting as local as we can get and then moving out and making sure those benefits are felt by everybody. One thing that's really interesting about this diagram we're seeing in front of us now is as more and more things are being added here, no SDG&E staying in the center.
Right.
That's interesting.
And I think I'll add that so it gets a little bit bigger too.
Yeah, you can say things that have already been said. You can add on.
Anna, I see your hand.
Oh, good, thanks.
Yes, I just wanted to interject because when I lived in Hawaii, lived there 7 years, I was off grid. And every time the Hawaiian energy grid would go down, I was like, yes. Had full, you know, full services. Like, I don't need you. And of course, you know, it just had its benefits as far as paying back, you know, the extra energy would go to them. But I am telling you, that's the way to live. Unfortunately, I rent here, so I have no choice about having that. So I loved what the person said about encouraging landlords to put solar, you know, for renters, because it's totally important. Anyway, thank you.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I think we're trying to think about ways to not just, you know, make things more efficient, but also more resilient and more affordable at the same time. So it's a lot of stitches to thread together. But I think by being systemic and holistic and being clear, we get what we designed for, right? So the more we're clear about what the goals are, what we're trying to accomplish, what the vision is, the more likely we are to get there. So this is beautiful. Everyone done putting stuff in here? It seems like a few things are still popping up. All right, I think this next one is our last one, and it's really open-ended. What else is on your mind that you want the project team to know? So we're developing a strategic plan for the next 5 years, specifically looking at customer programs. So how do you get these benefits to the local communities in different ways? What do you want us to know or to make sure we're thinking about or incorporating into our work as we move forward? It could be something about your community. It could be something about the goals. It could be something about, you know, whatever it is, something that we need to understand or keep in mind or be sure to design for as we move forward. Any guidance that would help us do a better job. Continuing to get community feedback and making an effort to have all voices represented. That's a great one. And I have to say, working with SDCP staff, I've been really, really impressed by the dedication to not just say that you want community engagement, but to put the resources behind it, put the time behind it. You know, Colin and Nelson in particular have really been deeply involved in the community engagement study, not just, you know, hiring outsiders and consultants to do it, which we're here and we're happy to help, but they're involved day to day, deeply listening and thinking and participating in that process. So it's been a real honor. Let's see what else we have here to prioritize. Or let's see, the most important thing is customer success. Being very responsive to customers will build trust and encourage them to take advantage of programs outside of baseline service. I love that. Yeah, field trips, that's fun. Get people out to your communities. Continue to streamline the process. How will we exhaust? Will we exhaust the renewable supply? That's an interesting question. How to get solar laggards to buy home solar. Grants for communities of concern and fast transit from East County. That's a really important.
You know, if I may, you know, I'm the one that put in staff field trips because I've seen how beneficial they've been for the few people on staff that I've had field trips with. And the field trips we weren't going to meet anybody. We were going to experience the community and see what we see from their perspective. And I think they're extremely beneficial when, you know, we're not just looking at data, but we're trying to find a way to match data with the human experience, right? And so we have to, you know, once we see the data, we need to go see the human experience and come up with solutions that take in both of those into account.
Absolutely.
Chair Price, it was really beneficial when you came here to IB because, you know, we're standing out by the coffee shop at the bike, you know, the bike path trail, and you're looking over at that empty salt space, which is shared by IB and San Diego City, which we're both participating.
Right.
Like, why don't we put a local solar array here? You know, I think that was a brilliant idea. I loved it. Thank you. I'm glad you came here.
Thank you for hosting us.
Awesome. So I see student involvement at the bottom. That's great. Annie, can you scroll back to the top for us so we can see? Sometimes these things scroll by themselves, which can be good and bad. Can we go all the way to the top? I think we missed some. So equity and free low-income housing and government housing. It's interesting how we have to solve, we can't just solve for energy without thinking about housing and bringing those things together. Housing and energy as twin goals and both critical for resilience and sustainability. So I see that as a theme on a number of these, prioritizing equity in communities of concern, being bold, getting to zero carbon, absolutely, the alternative to SDG&E.
Heather, I want to bring attention to the invest what equity. If you scroll up, invest in what equity actually means. A lot of folks use this, but often don't know what it means. And I think that's crucial to us. So thank you for whoever put that in, because that's important.
Yeah, absolutely. How do we understand equity in terms of the data? And then how do we understand equity by actually going to those communities, listening to what people have to say, making sure that people who are often left out of the process are included, can influence the process and be beneficiaries of the outcomes.
Yeah, and I
Um,
think a lot of what our communities don't know is what right question to ask.
Yeah.
So I think we're gonna have to work together to figure out how to even encourage them to start thinking about what this actually means so that they can ask the right questions and engage in a way that's meaningful. So we're not asking them to give us the answers, but we're helping to facilitate what this new vision looks like. That makes sense.
Yeah, and you know, to Ada's point, the goal as we're trying to frame all this stuff and build all this stuff is to get community members to ask us stuff.
Yeah.
Because we're always trying to figure out what to ask them. But if we can pique their interest to a point and develop their knowledge base to a point where they start asking us, well, how come there's not a tree there? Or how come there's not a solar thing there? Or, you know, why does the fire department not have solar on top of their place? You know what I mean?
Right.
We
Right.
want them to start asking us questions.
Yeah, like, you know, the biggest thing in National City is that the majority of people that live in the community are renters. Things like 70% of them are renters. So it's going to take a serious effort to engage with those landlords too. And how do we empower those tenants to have those conversations that are often not, they don't even want to engage because they're fearful. So we have to understand the real fear communities have, and even dealing with institutions that were never quite on their side. So
yeah,
I know we can get there.
Yeah, and then designing programs that keep people safe too, and thinking through the mechanisms or who are all the parties who need to be involved in that, right? It's more than what STCP can do alone. So a lot of that becomes about partnerships.
You know, I got out of my screen, so I couldn't put up what I'm about to say. But what I'd like the program team to start investigating is creating a relationship with Caltrans, right? Because Caltrans, even in National City, Caltrans has a lot of unused land that could be extremely beneficial to renters and anybody else, right? And I say that because the state of California is dictating all this climate stuff, right? Well, they need to put some skin in the game. If you want us to reach these numbers, you're gonna have to bring something to the table. And the only thing you can bring to the table is land and money. Well, that's all we really need is land and money. So that ought to work.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Great. That's
Eddie,
great.
we were talking about this yesterday in the office. So you're spot on, and it doesn't have to be in the Menti tool. We're capturing your feedback as it's coming, regardless of if it's in the tool or not. So yeah, you're spot on. Great minds think alike.
Awesome.
They're taking notes, and I loved the comment about just being able to visualize it in your community. You know, Heather and I and the rest of the team here and all of you work in this space, but it wasn't until a year ago I saw someone on social media walk down the street and go, there could be housing on top of that store. There should be a tree here, and just really mapped it out, and it changed my thinking. And so it's sort of really interesting to think about, you know, who gets exposed to that and when it happens in your life.
Yeah.
A good conversation.
Oh yeah, it's interesting because I'm doing a lot of work with the lowrider community out here in National City, and you know there is a lot of environmental overlap with the use of antique cars, and a lot of communities are having these hard discussions. But I think it's when you pique their interest and you can engage in what they're already actively working on, you can really make those inroads with folks. So there's a unique opportunity for us to really to set the table for a community that was never even invited to the table.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, and I know a lot of lowriders too, based upon my history in life. And they have a lot of batteries that they charge in the back of their lowrider. And if we're going to put car chargers all over National City, some of those car chargers need to be able to charge batteries in trunks, right?
Yeah.
That's a cultural thing that, you know, a lot of different cultures don't think about, but the Hispanic culture is thinking about how I'm gonna charge all my batteries so I can hop all up and down the street Friday and Saturday night.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Chair Price, they will tell you that they're Chicanos, just to be clear.
Okay. Okay.
I love that.
And happily, they come down here every weekend to IB, and we turn them on off the porch. You know, it's wonderful. It's awesome.
That's great. Are there any things that we missed in the middle there? I see we've got some great things about transit on here. I saw things at the top. Felt like there was a couple of things, just streamlining and defining. Yeah, I think the process is really helpful. Somebody put donuts, and that's great. Can never have too many donuts until you've had too many donuts.
No, you can never have, not croissants, donuts.
Okay, very good. New technologies, all these things. Okay, so we've got all of this. This is really great. Those were our questions that we wanted to just sort of memorialize at this point and get your comments on. If there's other things you want to share with us, we can turn the screen off now. We're going to capture that. We have all of that, and just take a couple more minutes, maybe 2, 3, 5 if people get really excited. If there's something else you want to share. Tara, it looks like your hand is up.
Yeah, I'll just comment that a lot of what we saw was rooftop solar. And I know the Community Advisory Committee, we've brought it up, but the SDG&E has a proposal of the California Public Utilities Commission that would completely kill rooftop solar. And that's very concerning, and it impacts San Diego Community Power and the goals and the fees they're proposing on the SDG&E side. So even if SDCP decided to take a loss, decided to do a great net metering program, it still might not financially pencil out. So it's a huge, huge concern. Our committee had pushed for San Diego Community Power to write a resolution or a letter to the CPUC, and that did happen earlier in the year, but I think we should re-emphasize the need for SDCP on the regulatory side to be involved. And there's legislation every year that the utilities are behind that's to kill rooftop solar. So if that happens, a lot of what we have planned is not going to make sense anymore. So I just really urge staff and the board to be as involved as possible, because we really need rooftop solar to hit these energy goals and to provide what we have pitched the community that SDCP would provide and the programs that we're discussing today.
Here, here.
All right. Victoria and then David.
I think that when we're talking about like EV vehicles, it's not as much, like it's not like a realistic for areas that are like mostly apartments, and then like because they can't afford it, and then there's also like nowhere to like charge it, and so that, and then when like certain areas like don't have like sidewalks, bike lanes, ADA like crosswalks, and then like the county will be like, oh, this community uses private transportation because like they're not using public transportation, but it's like it's not safe. Like we know so many people that have died just crossing the street, or it's like it's not safe, it's not accessible, there's no like bus routes on the bus stops, there's no shade, there's no benches, there's no lights, it's like it's not safe. And so if we could like just help give like these communities like a voice, and then like assisting in that way, and then also adding like, okay, now we can work towards like electric buses or just like electric bikes, but we can't have electric bikes unless we have bike lanes, or we can't have like electric vehicles until there's more areas to park them or charge them, or just people having more income to afford them. Yeah.
Yeah, great comment. David? David, you're on mute still.
There we go. Just following up on Tara's comments regarding rooftop solar. We know that SDCP is investing heavily in industrial scale solar, mostly farms located in the desert. And not everybody's happy about that. So we know distributed energy is really half of the solution. And so it's really important that the Clean Power Program focus on distributed energy and making this energy accessible to all of our communities.
Awesome. Ada?
Yeah, going off of that same sentiment, right, and making sure that we meet community where they are and we give them opportunities to participate. I would like for SDCP to really think about what it means to canvas the areas. You know, you're going to get community members that are not going to engage as much as we need them to. So what does it look like for us to canvas local areas and to really focus on local, you know, whether it's affordable housing complexes like you're already doing with Casa Familiar, and to build on these connections to communities that are probably not going to show up all the time, but maybe we can show up to them. So doing that when you're in front of them is always going to be a better way to kind of make sure that we get the information out there and we don't lose anybody.
Awesome. Anna?
Yes, circling back to Victoria's comment is one of the things that we've done here in IB is put in bus stops with shelter covers, and we have put in we put in bike lanes on all the main thoroughfares here, you know, all leading to the bike path and that goes around the bay, connects with Chula Vista National City, all the way up through Coronado. And I think that has definitely encouraged people for transportation, but unfortunately, the closest stop at the trolley for public transportation is up at the end of Palm Ave across the 5. And, you know, these are people who need public transportation. We have a good MTS system. It's just that, you know, I think that would be something that SDCP could attend city council meetings regularly, you know, have a representative that really advocates to make these improvements, such as Victoria was talking about in her city. You know, we really need to push local governments to incorporate these things to reduce carbon footprints.
Awesome. These are such great comments. We're taking furious notes here with multiple people listening and taking notes, and really appreciate it. Any other last thoughts? Anyone else want to share anything that we missed? We want to make sure we think about.
Could we get like the way those word map things finally ended up? Could we get copies of that in the next couple of days or sometime in the future? Or is that classified information?
I'll defer to Nelson and Colin on what to do with this.
Yeah, we can I'll touch base with Annie and get the PDFs of those and we can send those along.
Yeah, that'd be terrific. I loved it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's a neat tool. Well, thank you all so much for all the hard work and thinking and passion that you bring to SDCP and guiding this work and advising and you know, really SDCP will be better for it. And thank you so much for spending time with us today and thinking with us and pointing us in the right directions. Really appreciate it, really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I want to just echo that. Thank you so much for spending this time with us and allowing us to monopolize your meeting. But this is important work that needed to be done, so I appreciate it. And Chair Price, I will hand it back to you to move on to the next item.
Thank you. And I believe I've already asked, was there any public comment on this, correct?
You did, Chair.
Thank you. So number 8, receive update on public relations and back office operations. That's
So this item, Lucas will kick us off.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Chair Price, Vice Chair Hammond, members of the CSE. Happy Friday. My presentation today is going to touch on our customer participation rates, the joint rate mailer, and I'll also be stepping in and presenting the partnerships, events, and latest marketing campaign segment on behalf of our marketing and external affairs team. So before you have a stats page that essentially captures our participation rates as of August 1st. Obviously, this is when we created the slides. Time has, a week has passed, and these numbers have slightly shifted. But in terms of the overall participation rates, those are still holding steady. and they are still stellar. And it's all a function of all the great work that members of our CAC and all of our stakeholders who are in the community, talking to families, talking to friends, talking to neighbors, and the community at large on who STCP is, the value that STCP brings. So again, just want to recognize the entire CAC body for a job well done in making sure that our participation rates are stellar. Obviously, for the city of Encinitas, it's not reflected here in this stats chart, but we currently have about 389 accounts that have opted down from the default Power On 100 to Power On, and the breakdown of that is 54 non-residential accounts and about 335 residential customers. So all things considered, stellar participation rates. Thank you all for all the good work that we're all doing to advocate for customer participation in our program.
So speaking for Encinitas, since you mentioned that particular stat, am I to understand that the 6.6 was the opt-out to
Correct.
SDG&E? Okay, thanks.
Correct. And again, the participation rates for Encinitas in particular, those are tracking vis-a-vis other member agencies across the state that elected to default to the 100% renewable product. The participation there for other member agencies such as Portola Valley in Peninsula Clean Energy territory tend to hover at just barely above 90%. So again, all things considered, these participation rates are still stellar. And again, we just want to recognize all of the good work that all of the stakeholders are doing to ensure that customers are armed with the right information. I think I did hear in the previous segments that there has been a whole lot of misinformation. We know that. We see that in the social media arena. And again, we do also see the engagement that members of the CAC are doing to essentially combat the misinformation and provide the right information to the customers such that they make well-informed decisions. So thank you. Moving over to the next slide, please. So this slide captures the joint rate mailer, and this is a function, or rather it's an extension of the presentation that we made to the board in July, whereby SDG&E implemented a rate adjustment that resulted in lowering of its generation rates by approximately 4% on June 1st. And we obviously filed a protest to that rate adjustment. There were a few things that were a bit problematic as far as how they went about creating those commodity rates. Our joint protest with the other CCA in the region was filed with the CPUC, but again, due to the technicality of the fact that the filing that gave rise to that rate adjustment was a Tier 1 advice letter, those rates became effective as of the date that was articulated in the filing. So what does this all mean? As a result of that rate adjustment, SDG&E's base level of service, that is 31% renewable, has been about 1% less expensive than STCP's base level service Power On, which is 50% renewable, 5% carbon free. And we still believe, and again, I mean, there has been subsequent filings by SDG&E that essentially corroborate our protest, which was we believed as a function of this rate adjustment on June 1st, that rates or bundled rates were artificially reduced, which would then give rise to an undercollection by SDG&E throughout the time frame that those rates are in effect, such that they would actually have to be a rate adjustment upwards whenever SDG&E changes its rates next time. And that we did see, SDG&E did file an error trigger on July 15th that essentially articulated the under collection. They were not, in that filing, they did say that they're not expecting to adjust rates in the short near term. But again, we do think that under collection will continue such that the next rate adjustment will reflect an upward trajectory. But as you all know, every single time either SDG&E or SDCP changes rates, we are required to publish a joint rate comparison within 60 days of that adjustment. And so we've actually published our joint rate comparison. It's actually live, it's on our website now, reflecting this latest rate adjustment and also reflecting the fact that our value proposition is now 1% less than SDG&E base. For an average residential customer, so right in front of you here, this is capturing the rate comparison for a customer on tier DR1, which is our most populous residential rate in our territory. And that reflects, that reflects our power on being approximately 90 cents more than SDG&E base that's at 31% renewable. All things considered, we still know that this was an artificial reduction. And so, we would like, and we've done a few social media campaigns letting customers know. We've also equipped our contact center with the information to talk about this rate adjustment, such that customers don't make an ill-informed decision in the near term when this value prop is inverted. And when they do, let's say, opt out of our service, we'll be required to stay with SDG&E bundle service for a minimum of 12 months, such that when those rate adjustments to account for the under collection and account for the error forecast for 2023 that SDG&E has already filed, that show rates will increase or bundle rates will increase, such that they do have information to make an informed decision, not only now when this value prop is inverted, but most importantly, in 2023, when bundled rates are projected to increase. And we're definitely trying to arm customers with information to say, hey, yes, the value prop is inverted. Now it's an artificial rate reduction. Come 2023, we are expecting bundled rates to increase I wouldn't say pretty drastically, but we're expecting for these bundled rates to increase. And we wouldn't necessarily want customers to opt out now and be tied to staying in bundle service for 12 months, such that when those bundle rate adjustments come in 2023, customers don't have a framework or an option to come back to our service. And again, our marketing team our marketing and public affairs team has been running social media campaigns. I'm pretty sure you've seen those. They're called the series, and we are essentially telling customers that, hey, when it comes to the value prop, make a decision that is not only in the near term, but look also for the long term. So this is the joint rate mailer that we are required to send to customers, and so customers will get a version of this joint rate mailer that you have in front of you, either through their email, if we have an email address on file around August 26th, or physically an actual mailer in your post office box by the end of this month.
And Lucas, if I can just add a couple things, Lucas and our regulatory council gave a very thorough presentation to the board of directors at the July meeting. So I encourage you all, if you want to get into the more nitty-gritty details, to watch that recording. And then moreover, sorry, losing my train of thought right here. There's a helicopter flying across. Moreover, as you're out in the community and there may be questions that come up regarding rates, please know that staff is here to answer those technical, more nuanced questions. And so you'll have our email addresses, our office phone numbers, and also feel free to route those to our contact center. So we're here to answer those more technical questions.
Indeed, thank you, Sebastian. Yes, I was actually going to point the fact that we did a presentation last month, and I think the presentation slide deck as well as the video is already on our website. that essentially went deeper into the regulatory framework that gave rise to the rate adjustment, as well as the actions taken by both joint CCAs in the region, as well as what customers could expect as a function of that rate adjustment, and what to expect as we head into 2023 and beyond.
You froze for a second, Lucas, but you're back.
Oh, sorry. I apologize. Chair Price, that actually concludes my presentation as far as the two initial items of the joint rate mailer and the stats. Wondering if you'd like to perhaps take public comment if there is one, or maybe any questions or comments before we move forward.
Yeah, Matthew has a question, but I'd like to make a statement. I know most of the staff with San Diego Community Power is getting used to doing battle with SDG&E. But there are a number of people that are actually on the Community Advisory Council that have been at war and doing battle with SDG&E for the last 20, 30 years. So, you may want to give us a call to figure out some other moves, because they don't play fair. And as you can see, they don't play fair, and they've paid other people not to play fair also. With that, I'd like to, Matt, you have a question or a concern or comment?
Just a comment. Lucas, thank you for laying this out so very clearly. And your presentation, which I do recommend folks taking a look at the board last month, was very helpful. But I just want to make absolutely clear that this is rate manipulation on the part of SDG&E to undermine the program. So, a short-term devaluation of their rates to trick people to get out of SDCP so that they can lock them into long-term rates for the rest of the remainder of the year and the next. So I highly encourage you as a community representative to talk to your board member, the person who appointed you, to say, hey, what are you doing to push back on SDG&E's actions, to hold them accountable? And when folks are asking, well, why is SDCP more expensive than SDG&E? How did that happen? It's SDG&E rate manipulation, and it's short term. So we're going to get past this hurdle together. But just be very clear about what this is, because it isn't just oh, well, all of a sudden now our rates are more affordable. We're devaluing our rates in the short term to lock folks into long-term pain. So just want to make that abundantly clear, because I know staff has to be a little more gentle, but in my day job, this is just the rage that I get to bring forward.
Gary? Thank you, Matt. Gary?
Yeah, Lucas, I was in a discussion with somebody, about this, and I said a couple of things, and I want to check my facts here, so that I'll be talking. It's a person I talk with regularly. So the first thing I said is that SDCP sets their rates at the start of every year, and they stick with it. Is that correct?
That is correct. Our rates or our rate adjustments typically occur around the January timeframe. After obviously we've reviewed SDG&E's filings that give rise to their rates effective January 1st of every year. And yes, for the past, honestly, maybe for the past year, that has always been the case. Under perhaps if there are extenuating circumstances, staff could propose intra-year rate adjustments, but we haven't had to do that yet.
Okay, so then the next question is that it seems to me that SDG&E has actually done rate changes many times during the year. Is that correct?
That is absolutely true. If you were to go back to last year, SDG&E had numerous rate changes. They had one on January 1st, they had one on June 1st, one on November 1st. And so that is typical. And then, yes, so you're absolutely right.
And to this latest, manipulated rate reduction, did you say that will be their rate until 2023, let's say January 2023? Or is there I mean, I guess the question is, how certain are we that that's what the rates are going to be for the next, 5 months?
In the rate world or the rate landscape, you can never be too sure. However, we do know for a fact that SDG&E will change rates on November 1, and that is a function of the transition from the summer season and into the winter season. That is to be expected. Usually, it's the transmission and delivery rates that get essentially updated, and that should have been what took place on June 1st. However, to our surprise, this June 1, 2022 rate adjustment not only changed the transmission and delivery rates, but also significantly reduced the generation rates artificially.
Okay, thanks very much.
My pleasure.
Are there any comments from the public, Sebastian? Questions from the public?
There are no submitted public comments or no hand raised.
And just out of curiosity, how many people from the public do we have listening?
At the moment, we have 5.
Okay, good. I guess, is that it, Lucas?
Yeah, before I move over to the next slide, the one thing that I definitely want to call attention to is the fact that if you look at what is before you, you can clearly see that for our base product, right, it is almost 55% renewable relative to the competition, which is about 31%. So all things considered, yes, the value proposition has been artificially inverted as of June 1st. But we are definitely offering a much more superior product. And that is definitely something that we're very proud of. And one of the things that we definitely want the general public to know. And again, I cannot stress enough that, the rate adjustment is artificial and that we are expecting the rate increases from the bundle commodity perspective to occur more than likely on January 1st of 2023 forward. Chair Price, I actually see David Harris has his hand raised.
Mr. Harris?
Yes, I just wanted to emphasize that based on what Gary was discussing with Lucas, is that if people decide to opt out of SDCP because of this small increase in, the decrease in SDG&E rates, they won't be able to opt back in for a year. And so if there's changes to SDG&E's rates in November and they go up, which they probably will, then those customers who opted out are going to be paying more. And that's not long-term, that's in the short term. Thanks.
Lucas, is there a projected number of who may opt out based upon this new pricing?
There actually isn't. However, we do know, and the data shows us that every single time customers get some sort of a notification, we do tend to see a bump in opt-outs. And so, in order for us to combat that from actually truly manifesting, we are doing quite a few campaigns to educate the public on what the value proposition is over the long haul, as opposed to now in the near term. We're also attending various events, which I will cover in the next presentation and slide deck.
Right, and and this is kind of to Matthew's point. At some point, you're going to have to, in my humble opinion, may have to get a little more aggressive with the conversation, because SDG don't play. Lawrence?
Yes, it was David mentioned that once they change their plan, they're locked in for a year. And since this is a little bit of a rate change in the middle of the year, every time they change their rates, shouldn't we address the PUC and ask for, allow for earlier change back to the San Diego Community Power, rather than them being locked in for a year? It seems only fair if they're changing rates like this. Who do we go to ask for that change?
That's a good question. And unfortunately, the rules are stipulated and have been approved by the CPUC. Wherein, as far as the opt-out mechanics, so obviously, as you all know, CCA service such as SCCP is an opt-out program, meaning all eligible customers are enrolled, and customers have an option to opt out of the CCA service. And now the opt-out mechanics are calibrated in a rule. It's actually Rule 27, wherein essentially customers have 60 days prior to their account switching over to opt out without being subjected to that 12-month minimum stay. They also have 60 days after their account switches over to opt out without being subjected to the 12-month minimum stay requirements. Now, the fact that we've concluded the largest phase to existence, or rather, as of our existence, with Chula Vista and City of San Diego in May, these customers are essentially outside of that 60-day period after their account switched over, such that if they exercise their option to opt out, right, they can do so. The only caveat being, once they opt out after that 60-day period, after their accounts have transitioned over to our service, they have to serve the 12-month minimum stay requirement. And so that's the reason why, we believe it is absolutely critical for us to educate customers who say, hey, this is temporary. If you opt out now, you're outside of that 60-day period after your account has switched over to SDCP, such that you will be required to stay bundle service or to stay on bundle service for the next 12 months.
Well, I agree with the education part. I just thought there might be a way to address this issue with the California PUC based on the extenuating circumstances that they allow for a change. But that's just a thought. Thank you.
Thank you, Larry. All right.
Any more questions?
Chair Price?
Sir.
A member of the public has raised their hand.
Please, recognize them, please.
Judy, and apologies, I will likely mispronounce your last name, Judy Belfine. I'm going to allow you to talk and you'll have 3 minutes. You can go ahead.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you so much. This has all been very interesting, quite an education. So I want to be able to take this information to other people. And so it's interesting to learn about these changes in the prices. And if I can just ask one devil's advocate question that someone will ask me, so I'm equipped to respond. I know that the price of electricity over the last year has been going up quite a bit. Was this rate decrease like from a high down lower than the high, but not as low as it was, say, a year ago? And is that how SDG&E will defend it, or do they not even try and defend it? I'm trying to understand the nuance around saying it was artificially lowered. Thank you.
Thank you, Judy. Just to make sure that that's your comments.
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, Judy. So obviously, I don't want to speculate on SDG&E's part. I think part of our protest was a function of the fact that the way this rate adjustment came about was, in terms of how rates are created at a high level, you look at the revenue requirement, which is the revenues you're expected to collect as a function of that rate adjustment. And you also look at the sales volumes that those revenues are associated with. And in the mechanics that gave rise to this June 1st rate change, the revenue requirement piece was not changed. It was consistent with the rate adjustment from the previous rate change on January 1st. However, the volumes were changed. And so, based on that outlier in the mechanics of the rate articulation, and the fact that we believe, the rate reduction. So to your point, you're absolutely right in the sense that the price for power has consistently increased over the last few months. To reduce rates is not, from our perspective, is not necessarily reflective of the true market mechanics of where the prices are, and the fact that the revenue requirement piece was not updated, but then the volumes were, gave rise to the mismatch that essentially yielded these lower rates. And that was part of our argument to say, if you're changing the revenue, if you're changing the volumes, you should also change the revenue associated with those volumes such that there is consistency across those two elements.
I believe that's it. So you're going to move into back office operations now, or was that back office operations?
So this was actually back office operations, Chair Price. I'm actually going to move over to partnerships, events, and latest marketing campaigns. And so for this one, I'm actually stepping in on behalf of our external affairs and marketing team that could not be with us this afternoon. We're very happy to announce our partnership with Connect as of earlier this week. And this partnership will definitely help our customers save energy when it matters most. Connect will let customers know the most critical hour in the week when electricity is most expensive, and they will essentially send you a notification to say, hey, go ahead and please, power down if you can, reduce your usage. And the advantage of doing that is, Connect is going to help customers reduce their energy usage, lower their electricity bill, and also pay customers for the energy that they save on, which is definitely a win-win situation, not only for the customer, but for the broader grid reliability in our state and region. We're also, our marketing and external affairs team has also been really hard at work in the back end, working on some very key partnerships. So we're very happy to highlight our partnership with San Diego Wave Football Club and San Diego Loyal Football Clubs, two local soccer clubs with passionate fan base who are doing great things in our communities. As a huge soccer fan myself, as is Sebastian, we're very, very proud of these partnerships. And last but not least, we, staff and team members of SDCP are participating in various events, presentations, roundtable engagements, etc. Some of the engagements that we will be on, again, talking to our customers, addressing questions in real time, is we'll be at the Southeast San Diego Science and Art Expo tomorrow from 9:30. So if you don't have any plans tomorrow morning, please swing by. I would love to see you there. We'll be there from 9:30 to 2 p.m. And that actually wraps up the partnership events and latest marketing campaign update.
Thank you, Lucas. And I believe Colin's gonna just say a few words about the Connect partnership. Colin, are you there?
Okay, so I just got the, oh, okay, we're good.
Sebastian, you back?
Yeah, that was so weird. That's never happened in this 2 years that we've been doing the CAC. Okay, continue. I believe Colin should have been talking about Connect.
No, we were going to move on to the next item, actually, item 9, which Eddie, the chair, had moved us to open agenda items, I think. I don't have the agenda. in front of me.
Yeah, open a potential agenda items for the board of directors. Sebastian, we finished with agenda item number 8.
Okay, thank you. Sorry about that.
So committee members, do you have anything you'd like to discuss for a potential taking to a board of directors? I think, and I would like to believe that most of the stuff that we've talked about, especially the concern with SDG&E, is being talked about at the board level, and we wouldn't necessarily have to put that on the agenda. Can somebody shake their head or something? So I know I'm not just talking. Okay, cool. Thank you very much. Everybody was stuck. Shit. Okay, so without any further ado, committee member announcements. Now, I don't even know if I want to hear some of these announcements because they're kind of depressing, but you know, I'm gonna have to just man up and listen to them anyhow. So are there any committee member announcements that we need to be aware of? Victoria, would you like to tell us anything? Huh? How about you, girl?
Hello, my name is Victoria Brenica. I was a CIC member appointed by Supervisor Lawson Reamer. I applied to serve on our CSE to have more representation as a young woman of color in an environmental justice community. But I'm going to be vacating my seat because I was recently hired to conduct public outreach for San Diego Community Power. And I'm so happy and honored and excited to be able to further advocate for our communities. If you know anyone in unincorporated San Diego County that is passionate about environmental justice, please encourage them to apply to fill the newly vacated unincorporated CAC seat.
Well, just so you know, thank you, Victoria, for the time that you've been here and the energy that you brought to us and your smile and your passion and commitment. But what I've been telling other people that have told me that you're leaving, that, well, they didn't say you were leaving. They kind of like said, we stole her from you, Eddie. And that, you know, didn't make me feel better. However, and this is for the other CAC members as well as myself, because I don't mind anybody elevating in life and going to the next level of their career or their life or whatever. I think that's a beautiful thing. However, there is a responsibility to fill your own seat, right? So if you plan on moving, if you plan on leaving us, I would be appreciative if you would find somebody that is similar to you that could fill your seat, right? You know, that's a moral and value I've kind of lived with all my life. If you're leaving, find somebody else to take your place, right? So I've already let it be known with San Diego Community Power that indeed to implement this as part of stealing our people, right? They have a responsibility to us. So, but anyhow, I wish you much success. I understand that you're going to be our liaison between San Diego Community Power, and so you're not really leaving us. And that's a beautiful thing, but filling your seat, that's on you, girl. And we're gonna need that by close of business Tuesday, okay?
I will do my best.
Okay,
You're
thank you.
funny.
Thank you. I enjoy life. I really do. I like to laugh. I like to have fun. Even I don't care how serious it is. We need to laugh as much as possible. Lawrence, then Tom. Lawrence, you have your hand up?
Well, please let Tom go first. He may already mention, if he doesn't, I'll mention another event coming up on August 27th. Go ahead. I'll let Tom go first.
Well, Tom's leaving us too. That's what he wants to tell us, Lawrence. So he probably, you know, and he's not finding his replacement.
Well, I'll just the T-shirt that Tom is wearing, the Electric Vehicle Learning Center, is going to have an event on the 27th of this month, on the Saturday, and anybody in the community interested in learning how to convert their electric vehicle, it's a $105 fee, but you'll spend about, I think, from 11 to 4 in the afternoon or later, and learn a lot how to do it, hands-on. And so it would be a really good experience, and maybe Tom will add to that. I'm just giving a highlight of it right now. I'll pass the baton.
Thank you. Tom?
Yeah, wow, thanks. Thanks, Larry. And I took a few notes. I hope I don't ramble on too long, but I definitely wanted to let you guys know that I'm submitting my letter of resignation from the Community Advisory Committee. I was kind of hoping that it would be a zero-sum thing here with Anthony coming on board. Yeah, if we drop down to 12, you might have to adjust that quorum thing. But anyway, I am going to hit send on this letter as soon as we get off of this call, and Kimberly will has told me that she will make sure that you all get the letter. It is with a great deal of regret that I'm tendering my resignation from this. This has been an incredible experience, coinciding with COVID-19 restrictions and the shutdown. It's caused me to read a giant stack of books and really to enrich myself significantly in this common endeavor of ours. And so, yeah, I sold my property in Imperial Beach and moved on to my tiny home, net zero home here on the bay, my boat. So I am now a San Diegan. Eddie and Matthew really want to continue to be a part of this endeavor of ours. And so you two can count on me as a constituent of yours to continue to participate. Also, I did let Serge Dedina, my mayor and member of our board, know in advance, as well as my cohort Anna, because I don't want to blindside them. But in the process, I inadvertently blindsided Sebastian, and behind the scenes, he reached out to me and to reconsider. But no, the deal is I do not reside in Imperial Beach, and I really felt that it was necessary to avoid all kinds of drama and question about not continuing to represent Imperial Beach if I don't lay my head there, and I don't. Although we did camp out there last week down on the beach with about 100 other VWs, including some electric ones. What I am going to be doing is redoubling my efforts in the EV realm, and especially the EV Learning Center. So yeah, thanks Larry for mentioning that. We will be having another one of our workshops, as well as just a EVs and coffee get together up in San Marcos at our place of business. And if anybody's interested, please reach out to me by email or let me know. We also, okay, let me just touch on this EV thing for a second. Some of you may know that my electric classic vehicle was destroyed in a collision with a drunk driver a couple months ago, and I'm still recovering from a fractured vertebrae in my neck. But that's not really why I'm stepping down. It's basically the residential issue and the fact that we have a election coming up, and there have been some, as Anna alluded to earlier, there's been some very vociferous naysayers in our community about this whole thing. And so I just wanted to avoid at all costs bringing any doubt upon this outfit of ours, which I've come to love. And yeah, I'm living on my boat here at this Sun Road Marina. I'm spent my whole career working on San Diego Bay, so I'm definitely not withdrawing whatsoever from the struggle of environmental justice in general, and electric vehicles in particular. And finally, I'd like to say that we have a great event coming up next month at the San Diego Convention Center. It's the fully charged live North America exposition at the Convention Center. And I was the one who brought San Diego Community Power into that event with the help of Rita. And so I really, really hope to see some of you at that event. It's the 10th and 11th of September. And on the eve of that event, the Electric Vehicle Learning Center will be holding a fundraiser at the San Diego Automotive Museum in Balboa Park. So we think that there will be several of the fully charged staff in attendance to our fundraiser. And I'd like to invite anybody who is interested in electric vehicles or the educational process to associate themselves with us. And as well as if you drive an electric vehicle, we would love to have you in the Electric Vehicle Association of San Diego, which was the very first chapter started back in 1967. So yeah, there's a lot going on. And I really want to thank you guys for all of the gracious knowledge that you've shared with me, and I intend to share that with whoever my replacement might be. Yeah, thank you all so very much.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you very much. I don't know if Anna or Gary is next.
Well, I'm going to jump in because I just want to say goodbye to Tom, and I just want to say that when you build out another classic VW bus, you have to paint it the same shade of green.
Yeah.
Or paint it silver and black. You know, that's always nice.
No Raider fans allowed. Sorry.
I've got two more coming.
Okay. Oh, that's good. I just have a quick one, and this is like a heads up, very future heads up. The EcoFest in Encinitas is October 9th. And so SDCP had a table there last year. And I encourage us to make sure that, I just want the word out to staff in terms of outreach events to put that on their calendar, October 9th. I'm done.
Thank you. Anna?
Well, yes, first of all, I wanted to say it's been a pleasure serving with Tom. Tom, what is the date next month for the EV event so I can put it in our notes?
The Fully Charged Live North America at the Convention Center is the 10th and 11th. The EV Learning Center fundraiser at the San Diego Automotive Museum in Balboa Park is September 9th.
Okay, great. Thank you.
And I just sent a flyer to Sebastian for the August 27th conversion workshop. So Sebastian, if you could forward that off to everybody, just for their FYI, including Anna.
You got it.
Okay, thank you. Nelson?
Thank you, Chair. I know that I'm not part of the CAC, so I want to be respectful of anyone else first before I go, if there are any other questions.
I don't see any, and we're over time, so.
Yes, I recognize that. I just want to remind everyone that we have a Spanish workshop happening next Wednesday, the 17th at 6 p.m. I will be sending you some more information about that workshop. And if I can please get your help in promoting that, that would be fantastic. So thank you.
Thank you. Sebastian? I've never seen you raise your hand, Sebastian. That's mighty nice of you. Thank you.
Very nice, man. Just a few things. First off, Tom, we're gonna miss you. We'll plan something. It's on my to-do list to do something for Ed Lopez as well, as founding members of the CAC. So Victoria, looking at you for next week. We'll talk about that next week. So that's first. Number two, just want to acknowledge that with these 2 vacancies, as I believe Gary or Larry mentioned, we are dropping down to 12. So I will be reaching out to those who asked to be in the Executive Advisory Ad Hoc Committee to work out that, because we do need to drop to 5 so we can have an ad hoc committee meeting.
Can you give that a couple of weeks, because they may be, we may be able to find the replacements, or we can reach out to whoever, got them on and tell them what the situation is, because this is a pretty, I didn't realize that this situation was going to arise before the end of today's meeting.
Yeah, we'll think about that, Chair. As you know, we typically give applicants a month time to apply, and then after that it goes to the board, and then eventually that person gets approved. And so we'll think of alternatives, but I just want to mention that it is a reality.
Okay.
And then the other thing that I was what was it?
Sebastian, it's 3:45, right?
It is 3:45.
Okay. I just want to know I knew.
But the other thing is, we are, as Karen mentioned, and she did have to drop, we are hiring aggressively, particularly 2 positions that are on our website. Is one for Rita's replacement, that is our Director of Public Affairs. We're changing the title just slightly. I will send out an email if you haven't seen that already, so you can share it with your networks. But eventually, just so you all are aware, that Director of Public Affairs will work with Victoria on managing the CAC. So eventually I will be stepping back, but not to fear. Victoria and the Public Affairs Director are here. And then beyond that, we'll be hiring a senior program manager that will be focused on CPUC, energy efficiency, and distributed energy programs, or DER, distributed energy resources. And I see Colin just popped up. If you wanted, no, that will be in the email. Just be aware of that. We want amazing candidates. We want diverse candidates. So that's it.
Okay, Anna, did you have something else to say?
Yes, I did. I meant to tag this on when I was speaking before, but I have reached out to our mayor, and of course Tom did as well. But we are all actively working on finding someone as soon as possible for Tom's position. So.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Let's connect on that, Anna. Just so we're consistent across the way we're recruiting for all CAC members.
Okay, great. Yeah, I didn't know what the protocol was, but I was like, oh, I got to talk to the mayor. Yeah, just making sure we don't want any gaps. It's too important. Thank you.
Right.
Understood.
Okay, so I believe that is it. So without any further ado, I would sincerely love to adjourn this meeting. Thank you, everyone.
Cheers.
Thank you all.
Thanks,
Have a great
everyone.
weekend.
Thanks again, Tom and
Thanks.
Victoria.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye.
Thanks, everybody. Good to see you.